Curious about what's really happening in the West Philippine Sea? Today on Philippine History, we're tackling one of the biggest, high-stakes issues affecting not only the Philippines but also global politics. This is more than just headlines or fishing disputes. It's about sovereignty, resources, and international power plays. Why are these waters so contested, and what's really at stake? In this episode, we'll break down the historical roots, the overlapping claims, and the high-stakes conflicts that shape the West Philippine Sea dispute. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay connected with our deep dives into the stories that have shaped the Philippines. Now, let's uncover the real significance behind the West Philippine Sea dispute. The geography of the West Philippine Sea. Why this territory matters. The West Philippine Sea is part of the South China Sea, an area spanning over 3.5 million square kilometers and bordered by China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. The region is one of the most strategic maritime areas in the world, both economically and militarily. With approximately $3 trillion worth of trade passing through these waters annually, the South China Sea serves as a vital route for global shipping, connecting the economies of East Asia, Southeast Asia, and beyond. The area is also rich in natural resources, including extensive fishing grounds, oil, and natural gas reserves. For countries like the Philippines, access to these resources is crucial for economic growth, energy security, and food supply. But beyond its economic value, the West Philippine Sea has deep cultural and historical significance for Filipinos, symbolizing national sovereignty and the fight for territorial integrity. In recent decades, however, the West Philippine Sea has become a flashpoint for territorial conflict, with multiple countries asserting overlapping claims. Among these, China's claim is the most expansive, covering almost 90% of the South China Sea under its 9-line claim. For the Philippines, this claim threatens not only its access to valuable resources, but also its maritime rights within its exclusive economic zone, EEZ. Tracing the historical roots, claims, conflicts, and rising tensions. To understand the West Philippine Sea dispute, we need to go back several centuries. China's claim over the South China Sea, including the West Philippine Sea, is based on what it calls historical rights. Ancient Chinese maps and records mention the waters and islands within the 9-line, which China argues have long been part of its territory. However, international law under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, signed in 1982, does not recognize historical claims as a basis for sovereignty. Under UNCLOS, coastal states are granted exclusive economic zones extending 200 nautical miles from their shores, giving them the exclusive right to exploit resources within this area. For the Philippines, its EEZ includes large portions of the West Philippine Sea, which contain abundant fish stocks and potential oil and gas reserves. The Philippine government's position is clear. It has legitimate rights under UNCLOS to these waters, and it has consistently asserted that China's historical claims do not override the Philippines' internationally recognized rights. In the 1970s, reports of oil and natural gas deposits in the South China Sea sparked renewed interest and competition for control. As China's regional power grew, so did its ambitions to control these resources. Over the years, China began building artificial islands, equipping them with military infrastructure, including airstrips, radar systems, and missile bases. This militarization of disputed areas has led to clashes with the Philippines and other Southeast Asian nations, who view China's actions as aggressive and an infringement on their sovereignty. The Legal Showdown. The Philippines takes the dispute to The Hague. In 2013, after a series of incidents in the West Philippine Sea where Chinese vessels blocked access to Filipino fishermen, the Philippines took a bold step. It filed a case against China at the Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA, in The Hague, seeking a ruling under UNCLOS to clarify its rights in the disputed waters. The legal move was significant. It marked one of the first times a Southeast Asian nation formally challenged China's maritime claims in an international court. The case focused on several key issues: the validity of China's 9-line, the Philippines' rights within its EEZ, and China's activities on reefs and islands that the Philippines claimed as part of its territory. In 2016, the tribunal issued a landmark ruling in favor of the Philippines. The PCA found that China's 9-line had no legal basis under UNCLOS and ruled that the Philippines had exclusive rights to resources within its EEZ in the West Philippine Sea. It also condemned China's construction of artificial islands, stating that these structures violated the Philippines' sovereignty. The ruling was celebrated in the Philippines and around the world as a victory for international law and a testament to the power of peaceful, legal means to resolve disputes. But despite the ruling, China rejected the decision, stating that it did not recognize the court's authority. This defiance has left the Philippines with a complex challenge: how to enforce its legal victory without escalating tensions with its powerful neighbor. The impact on Filipino fishermen, a struggle for survival. For many Filipinos, the West Philippine Sea dispute isn't just a distant political issue. It directly impacts their daily lives. In particular, Filipino fishermen who rely on these waters have found themselves at the front lines of the conflict. For generations, Filipino fishermen have depended on the rich fishing grounds within the West Philippine Sea to provide for their families. However, as China has increased its presence in the area, incidents of harassment and intimidation have become more frequent. Reports of Chinese Coast Guard vessels blocking Filipino boats, ramming fishing vessels, or demanding that they leave traditional fishing grounds have become all too common. These confrontations have led to economic hardships for thousands of Filipino families who rely on the West Philippine Sea for their livelihoods. In some cases, fishermen have been forced to venture farther from shore or settle for smaller catches, reducing their income and affecting local economies. The Philippine government has tried to address these challenges by negotiating with China for access to fishing areas, but these agreements are often fragile and dependent on the political climate. For Filipino fishermen, the dispute is not just about territory. It's about their right to work, feed their families, and live without fear in their own waters. This struggle has also made the West Philippine Sea dispute a symbol of resilience and pride for many Filipinos who continue to assert their rights despite the odds. A delicate balancing act: the Philippines, China, and the United States. The West Philippine Sea dispute has drawn attention from other global powers, particularly the United States, which has strategic interests in maintaining freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. As one of the Philippines' oldest allies, the U.S. has repeatedly voiced support for the Philippines in its efforts to uphold its sovereignty. The U.S. conducts freedom of navigation operations in the region to challenge China's claims, asserting that the waters are international and open to all nations. The Philippines and the U.S. have a mutual defense treaty dating back to 1951, which obligates both countries to support each other in the event of an armed attack. This alliance has provided the Philippines with some reassurance, but it has also placed the country in a delicate position. While the Philippines relies on the U.S. for military support, China remains one of its largest trading partners, making the balance between security and economic interests increasingly complex. The relationship with China offers significant economic opportunities, including infrastructure investment, loans, and trade partnerships. The Philippines has sought to maintain diplomatic relations with China to avoid jeopardizing these economic benefits. However, this approach has faced criticism from Filipinos who feel that the government should take a firmer stance in defending its territory. The balancing act between maintaining sovereignty and fostering economic cooperation highlights the geopolitical tightrope the Philippines walks in the West Philippine Sea dispute. Environmental concerns: the ecological impact of the dispute. Beyond the political and economic stakes, the West Philippine Sea dispute also has severe environmental implications. China's construction of artificial islands has caused significant damage to coral reefs and marine ecosystems. Dredging, land reclamation, and construction activities have destroyed fragile habitats, affecting fish populations and biodiversity in one of the world's most important marine areas. The destruction of coral reefs not only affects the environment, but also threatens the livelihoods of Filipino fishermen who depend on these ecosystems. Healthy coral reefs are essential for maintaining fish stocks, supporting tourism, and preserving the biodiversity that sustains the region's fisheries. Environmentalists argue that the long-term ecological costs of these activities will have a lasting impact on the Philippines, jeopardizing both the natural resources and economic opportunities that the West Philippine Sea provides. The Philippine government, alongside environmental organizations, has called for international action to address the environmental impact of China's activities. Protecting the West Philippine Sea's ecosystems is not only a matter of sovereignty, but also an issue of sustainability and responsible stewardship of shared natural resources. The future of the West Philippine Sea dispute, seeking a path forward. As the Philippines continues to assert its rights in the West Philippine Sea, the future of the dispute remains uncertain. Some advocate for a stronger stance against China, while others believe that diplomacy and regional cooperation offer the best chance for a peaceful resolution. In recent years, there has been a push for ASEAN and other international bodies to establish a code of conduct for the South China Sea aimed at reducing tensions and promoting cooperation. For the Philippines, the dispute has become a matter of national pride, resilience, and the pursuit of justice. The West Philippine Sea is more than just a territorial claim. It represents the Philippines' fight to protect its people, its resources, and its place on the global stage. The ongoing struggle serves as a reminder that the quest for sovereignty and stability in the region is an issue that requires both strength and diplomacy. The West Philippine Sea, a defining issue for the Philippines and Southeast Asia. The West Philippine Sea dispute is a powerful reminder of the Philippines' enduring fight to protect its sovereignty and resources. It's a story of resilience, legal battles, and complex relationships with global powers. As the Philippines navigates this challenging issue, it remains determined to uphold its rights and secure a peaceful and prosperous future for its people. If you found this exploration of the West Philippine Sea dispute insightful, don't forget to subscribe to Philippine History. Join us as we uncover more stories, events, and figures that define the Philippines' past and present. Let us know your thoughts on the West Philippine Sea dispute and other historical topics you'd like us to explore. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.